Okay, so let's get right into it. We're looking at the story of a man named Karma Nyack, and he spent 18 years of his life on a single mission to kickstart a global revolution using nothing more than a tiny 14-page ebook. So the question is, how did he plan to pull that off? Right off the bat, you can tell this is serious. This quote sets the tone. We're not just talking about uploading a file to the internet. From the author's perspective, this is a declaration of war, a conch cry, like in ancient battles, signaling the start of something huge. So what is this grand mission all about? Well, according to the source material, the goal is to delete what's called a 3,000-year-old syndicate software of mental slavery. The battlefield here isn't physical, it's inside our minds, and the objective is to completely overwrite a system of control he believes has been running the world for millennia. Now, you might be thinking, 18 years of work for just 14 pages? What's up with that? Well, that's the whole strategy. The idea was to forge a highly concentrated intellectual weapon. In today's world, a short, punchy manifesto can spread like wildfire, you know? It's designed to have way more impact than some dense textbook nobody's gonna read. It's meant to be downloaded and absorbed on a phone in one go. So what exactly is inside this 14-page weapon? What makes it so powerful? Well, it's all built on a couple of really core ideas that are meant to completely redefine how we see society, nature, and power itself. Let's break them down. At the heart of it all is this radical reinterpretation of the Hindi word for God, Bhagwan. The author decodes it as an acronym, BGVAN. Each letter stands for one of the 5 elements of nature: Bhumi for earth, Gagan for sky, Vayu for air, Agni for fire, and Nir for water. You see what this does? It shifts the whole ideology from being spiritual to being scientific. The goal is to ground the idea of a supreme being in the physical world we all experience, making nature the ultimate power. The second big idea is this socio-economic blueprint called the 1090 rights model. It's inspired by the history of ancient republics like Hiranakpur, and it basically proposes a whole new world order, one that restores rights and power to what he calls the 90% protector society, the people who live in harmony with nature. This model champions what he calls a green revolution, which is all about nonviolence and vegetarianism against the pink revolution, his term for the global meat industry. Okay. So the intellectual weapon is forged. The ideas are locked in. The next question is, where do you fight the battle? The decision of how to publish this thing wasn't just a simple logistical choice. It was a series of really deliberate strategic moves in a digital war. And this is where you can really see the tactical thinking. The choice between PDF and EPUB, I mean, for most of us, that's just a technical detail, right? But not here. It was ideological. PDF was chosen because it preserves the author's exact formatting, which he calls maintaining the purity of intelligence. But he also created an EPUB version for its flexibility and as a way to easily create an audiobook, which is a really smart move for reaching a wider audience. All right, let's look at the battle plan itself. Here are the 6 exact steps laid out for publishing on Google Play Books. It's presented like this straightforward, almost military-style procedure. The goal is to get this message past all the gatekeepers and out onto a global stage. Every single one of these steps was a crucial part of launching that digital conch cry. But, of course, it wasn't that easy. The mission ran into resistance. Right as he was trying to publish, a bunch of weird technical glitches started popping up. And from his perspective, these weren't just random bugs. No way. This was a firewall, a deliberate counterattack from the very syndicate he was trying to take down. And one of the strangest obstacles was this. The browser language all of a sudden switched itself to Marathi. Now, most of us would probably just get annoyed and call it a random computer glitch, but in the context of this ideological war, it was seen as something much, much more sinister. So here's the interpretation from the source. The author's spiritual home base is a place called Hiranagapur. The claim is that this language switch was an algorithmic attack by the Syndicate, designed to digitally confuse his location with Nagpur, a major city they consider one of their strongholds. It was seen as this calculated move to undermine his identity and sabotage the mission right at the source. And you have to remember, this whole high-stakes digital battle was happening against a backdrop of some very real, very tough physical limitations. We're talking about running this entire operation from a borrowed phone, a phone that was constantly running out of memory. He was racing against a daily 2 GB data limit, and at the most critical moment, the final upload, he was down to the last 10% of his data for the day. It just adds this incredible layer of urgency to the whole story. And that brings us to the climax. Data is about to run out. This digital firewall is throwing up obstacles. It was time for the final push. Time to see if this 18-year mission could actually get launched into the world. And here's where the abstract mission becomes concrete data. These are the final details being punched into the system. The title, Bhagwan Prakritihi Parameshwarha, translates to God, nature is the supreme being. The subtitle mentions Hiranagpur, the scientific deconstruction of 24 avatars and the 1090 uprising. It's all there, every piece of the ideology, ready to be indexed by Google and found by the world. Now, on another platform, Instamojo, a really strategic price was set, just 10 rupees. This wasn't about making money. This was framed as a protector's contribution. The goal was mass accessibility, making sure that pretty much anyone in India could download this weapon without having to worry about the cost. So, after fighting through all the glitches, racing against the data limit, the files are finally up. And with one last click on that publish button, the 18-year mission is launched. The weapon is fired. But hitting publish isn't the end of the story, not by a long shot. The digital conch cry has been sounded, but the question is, will anyone actually hear it? The book now enters this new phase, a kind of digital waiting room, as it awaits judgment from the platform's gatekeepers. See, the reality of digital publishing is there's always one last hurdle, the platform review. The account status switches to pending. And for the next 2 to 7 days, the fate of this entire project is in the hands of Google's content review team. It's this tense waiting period to see if the uprising will even be allowed to begin. So for anyone out there who wants to see what happens next, or maybe dig deeper into the author's other works, the source material provides these links. You can follow the whole journey on the Amazon author page, get in touch directly through email, or find him on his social media channels. And that really brings us to the final lingering question, doesn't it? This whole story is pretty amazing. It's a testament to what a single person with a very clear mission can try to do in our digital age. But can a 14-page PDF, uploaded with the last few megabytes of daily data from a borrowed phone, actually make a dent in a power structure the author believes is 3,000 years old? That's the question this whole digital uprising leaves us with.